Canada has been in the news ever since Justin Trudeau came to India for a not very pleasant visit, and since then, much water has flown under the bridge. But some things simply don't seem to change, and one of those things is Canada's absolute and unending obsession with India. Now, there's an inquiry commission report. What would you call a report that talks about how various countries are trying to destabilize you, but doesn't give a shred of evidence to support that claim? It's been a habit with Canada, and they have persisted with it. You can't blame them for not being consistent. This is the sum and substance of Canada's Justice Hogue report, or the Public Inquiry into Foreign Interference in Federal Electoral Processes and Democratic Institutions report. It is full of insinuations, allegations, and pardon my French, hogwash. Let's start by examining what are the three main points that this report makes about India. First, it says that India is the second most active country engaging in electoral interference in Canada. Second, that the Indian government is suspected, not proven, but suspected of using proxy agents to bankroll specific candidates to swing a federal election. And third, that India uses disinformation as a key form of foreign interference in Canada. This report runs into 120 pages. It takes into account over 60 experts, 150 witnesses have been heard, over public hearings that were spread over 35 days. And yet, after all of this, not one piece of solid evidence has emerged in even one of these 120 pages. In fact, listen in to what this report laughably says about the entire Hardeep Nijjar assassination affair, a case which Justin Trudeau had dug up and which Canada then successfully used to wreck its relationship with India. The report says, and I quote, "Disinformation is also used as a retaliatory tactic to punish decisions that run contrary to a state's interests." This may have been the case with the disinformation campaign that followed the Prime Minister's announcement regarding suspected Indian involvement in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, in brackets, though again, no definitive link to a foreign state could be proven. The report says this. No definitive link to a foreign state could be proven. No definitive link could be proven? Then what was your police chief, your home minister, your prime minister going on about for 2 years? Was this report an effort actually to give some kind of a fig leaf to Justin Trudeau because no India link to the Nijjar killing could be proven in the end? Look at when it was decided to make India even a part of this investigation. This was done in 2024. Just shortly after, India-Canada ties went into tailspin and Justin Trudeau was desperately looking for some kind of redemption. Prior to this, the scope of this inquiry was very limited. It was supposed to look into charges that China and Russia influenced the elections in Canada in 2019 and 2021 that ended with Trudeau's re-election. So why was suddenly India included last year in the ambit of this investigation? Why was it said suddenly that India is a country meddling in elections in Canada? Was this an effort at political vengeance? Next is the so-called disinformation warfare. Canada claims that India has been actively pursuing a strategy of spreading disinformation to destabilize it. Now, again, no evidence has been given to corroborate it. In fact, it's the other way around. Let me give you an example. The Washington Post on the 14th of October 2024 published a scandalous report. It cited unnamed Canadian officials to say that members of the Indian government, in fact India's Home Minister Amit Shah, were involved in quote-unquote a broad campaign of intimidation against Indian dissidents on Canadian soil. Hardeep Nijjar, who has criminal cases, is an Indian dissident in that report. Now, this information was only shared with Washington Post, not even with Canadian media houses. This is what constitutes selective disinformation to further one's own agenda and pursue an anti-India narrative. Although the Royal Canadian Mounted Police later had to backtrack on these very assertions. But the fact remains that Canada, through this kind of reporting, did indulge in propagating a one-sided anti-India narrative and calling India's Home Minister a part of a network that indulges in transnational repression. Final point. This report mentions challenges in relationship between the two nations over India's perceived national security concerns about Khalistani separatism. Here is the actual truth. Canada has been extremely dismissive of India's concerns about how not just Khalistani separatists, but criminals who are charge sheeted in India, who have a complete rap sheet in India, who are accused of extortion, terrorism, attempt to murder in India, find refuge in Canada. That's a real and hard fact. Canada has refused to stop processions that show the assassination of former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in the name of free speech. Canada even allowed separatist groups to put up posters that literally painted a target on the back of Indian diplomats who were at that time in Canada. So the only challenge here is getting Canada's cooperation against anti-India elements that have found refuge there. As for the issue of transnational repression, this is nothing more than an elaborate, plain whitewashing of terrorism on an institutional level.